Hi guys, today I'm gonna do the mid-year freak-out book tag. So I know I'm basically the last person on BookTube to do this, but the thing is, I actually wanted to wait until the half year is over because, you know, I could have read my favorite book in the last week of June. It didn't happen. I just wanted to wait, you know, because you never know. And so today I am here to finally do the mid-year freak out tag. I'm gonna leave a link to the original one down below. Wow, great transition. You can't tell at all that there are books missing from my shelf. So the first question is, best book you've read so far this year? And I'm doing a thing. Because the best book I've read so far this year is obviously A Conjuring of Light by Victoria Schwab. And this is gonna be the best book until the end of time. Like, nothing about this is gonna change. This book is a book that applies to a lot of the questions in this tag. So I have decided to mention this briefly in every question where it applies, and then move on to another book, because you all know how much I love it, and I don't want to completely be like, I'm not gonna talk about this book because you all know it, because I still, every chance I get to, you know, spread some love, I will do it. But in the other questions, I'm just gonna mention it briefly and give another book the spotlight as well. So this is obviously my favorite book of this year so far, and will be at the end of this year. But my number 2 currently is Ramona Blue by Julie Murphy. The writing was great, the story was great, the romance was great, the friendship was great, the family dynamics were great. I loved everything about this book, and it's my number 2. I'm excited to see if anything is able to top this. There's a few anticipated releases that might make it, or maybe it's gonna be a surprise. Yeah, exciting things. Number 2 is best sequel. That is A Conjuring of Light by Victoria Schwab. But other than that, it is definitely Head Over Heels by Holly Smale. This is the 5th book in the Geek Girl series. Forever Geek was really good as well, but this one is just my favorite from the series, and definitely my favorite sequel that I've read this year. I actually realized I haven't read that many sequels. I can't believe that my favorite sequel, except for A Conjuring of Light, is a contemporary. That's so weird to me, but that's also really great, and I love the series, and you should read it. The third question is new release you haven't read yet but want to. I definitely want to read Lord of Shadows as soon as possible. I'm probably gonna read it in July or August. The fourth question is most anticipated release for the second half, and that would definitely have to be Jane Unlimited by Christine Cashore. So excited about this. I've been waiting for this book for so long, and I didn't think it would happen. I can't wait. Oh my god. The fifth question is biggest disappointment. That would absolutely have to be Winter Song by S.J. Jones. I have to say there weren't too many disappointments for me this year, because most of the things that I was really excited to read I did end up really enjoying, and the other things that I kind of picked up on a whim, you know, that's not really a disappointment if I was kind of expecting maybe not to love it. But Winter Song was one of my most anticipated releases. Then I read the blurbs and was a little bit scared, because dark, lush and sexy and all of these weird things, I was like, what is this? And then I read some great reviews, and I was like, okay, yeah, I think this is gonna be fine. And I read it, and I gave it 1 star, and I really hated it. The thing is, I just really did not like anything about it, and I think I'm just so disappointed, because it would have been one thing not to enjoy the story, or, you know, not to like the character, or not to like the world, but it wasn't only that, it was that it had some really shitty German cultural stuff in it. It was just not accurate, the language was off, it had some problems when it comes to consent. I just don't like that. I just didn't like anything about it. Number 6 is biggest surprise, and that would absolutely have to be The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli. This is actually another of my favorite books of the year, and I think this is currently my number 3. Wow, another contemporary, very high up on the list. This is something that I don't think I would have picked up if I didn't kind of accidentally stumble upon this on NetGalley. It was like, oh, a few people have reviewed this and said that it was really great and they had some great representation, so let's just request it. And when I was accepted, I was like, oh, okay, cool, but I didn't actually really know what it was about and if I would end up enjoying it. And this is nothing that I normally would have requested, and I end up loving it so much. That's just, I'm so, oh my god, just thinking about how maybe potentially I never would have picked it up if it wasn't for NetGalley. That's so cool to me. I'm so excited. I love it. This really also is like the only surprise that I could think of. Most of the books, same as for disappointment, like the most of the books that I really enjoyed were ones that I was really excited about or really anticipating. The 7th question is favorite new author, and this fits perfectly because favorite new author is Becky Albertelli. So this one, as I said, I absolutely loved, and I have been wanting to pick up Simon vs. the Homo sapiens agenda for a really long time anyway, but this finally motivated me to actually do it. I really loved that one as well, and I'm really excited for her next novel, and she's slowly but surely making her way into my favorite authors. The 8th question is newest fictional crush, and I have to say, while in the past I talked a lot about like, you know, fictional crushes, and it was always like a big topic to me, for some reason I couldn't think of anyone. I don't know if it's just because, I don't know why, honestly, I don't know why. I could name a few ships, you know, that I had, and people that I really shipped, but there was no one that I was kind of like, oh my god, and I feel really, really weird about it. Like, I almost feel like the last fictional crush I had was Nikolai from the Grisha trilogy, and I read that so long ago. I feel very, very weird. Like, I feel very weird. This is a weird development in my life. The 9th question is newest favorite character, and this was another one that I found really, really hard. There's not a character, you know, that I would really put on my favorite character list, like Delilah Bard or like Peter Bread or like Haymitch, you know. One of the characters that I really, really enjoyed reading about this year was, have to hold it up again, Molly from The Upside of Unrequited. She was just the first character in a really, really long time, or basically ever, that I could really relate to. She is not my like favorite characters of all time, but looking at this year, she's pretty great. Same goes for Ramona and Ramona Blue. She's a really great character. The 10th question is book that made you cry. Where do I start? A Conjuring of Light. Obviously, if you have not seen my reaction video, I cry like a newborn baby. But also Ramona Blue made me cry on several occasions. Like, I always had to stop like every few chapters because I was crying. Forever Geek by Holly Smale. I bawled my eyes out throughout the last few chapters. The Upside of Unrequited was so relatable that I sometimes just couldn't hold it in and I had to cry. And sometimes I cried because I was happy, but I cried. I think that was the worst of it. There's more. Was the worst of it. The 11th question, a book that made you happy. Obviously, A Conjuring of Light. I still just am so happy with how this whole series ended. Oh my god. Like, oh my god. Like I said, I would just briefly mention this in every other question, but I think like this deserves like a extra spot for like best ending of a series. Especially because like the whole last part was basically an epilogue, and it closed off I'm getting emotional. It closed off every character's storyline so well. Oh my god. Oh my god, okay. But also, obviously, Upside of Unrequited made me really happy. As I said, like, it made me cry because I was really happy in parts, and also because, you know, relating to her character is really great. Geek Girl, all of the series basically made me really happy. Like, this is just a happy, feel-good series. Even though the ending was so sad, it's still, like, I finished it and I was like, oh my god, it's just, And also, because I have not mentioned it yet, even though it's one of my favorite books of the year as well, and that is Warcross by Mary Lou. This is another book that made me really, really happy. I really enjoyed the characters. This was actually, I think, the book that had my favorite ship so far, especially because they had like a really interesting storyline, and I think, you know, their development is going to be really interesting in the sequel as well. Not want to say too much, but interesting. Yeah, I just was happy because it was an anticipated release that really, you know, like exceeded my expectations. The 12th question is favorite book to film adaptation you saw this year. I actually did not see one adaptation at all, which I don't care about, quite honestly. Like, I'm not really, like, obviously I'm excited about some adaptations, but for the most part I'm not like, oh my god, there's a new adaptation, I have to see it. The 13th question, favorite video you have done this year. That would absolutely have to be The Ballad of Lila, but I'm still so proud of this video, and if you have not seen it, watch it. I think even if you are not interested in Shades of Magic, but you maybe like musical theater or you just want to see a somewhat creative video, just check it out. As I said, I'm just really proud of it, and it was a lot of fun to do, but it was also hard work, so I'm always really excited when people see it. The 14th question is most beautiful book you bought so far this year. This is really hard. If I have read the book already, I will be a little bit biased, but I do think Ramona Blue is really gorgeous. I just smeared lipstick on it, but wow, guys. I shouldn't be filming. I just think it's so simplistic but so beautiful. I just really like the whole color scheme and everything, but obviously, just gonna be annoying again for a second, A Conjuring of Light is just gorgeous. And the final question, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? Well, there's still a few arcs that I definitely have to go through, but I still have time for most of these. I really want to get to The Beauty of Darkness by Mary E. Pearson. I don't want to have too much time in between. I think I definitely want to get to the point where all of my books on my TBR are books that I bought this year. So by January 1st, 2018, I want to have only 2017 books on my TBR. Not 2017 released books, but 2017 bought books. So that means I still have to read like The Girl in 6E, The Glittering Court, The Winner's Curse, Midnight Thief. It's not that many. I'm just talking about my physical TBR, by the way. If we're talking about ebooks, no way. But yeah, it's not that many, but it's still obviously a challenge because some of these are books in series, or you know, I might not be in the mood for some of these. So I don't know if I'll get to it, but that would be really cool. I would really love to accomplish that by the end of the year. Anyway, this was the mid-year book freak out book tag. I don't know. Let me know what your favorite book of the year is so far, and maybe also let me know what your biggest disappointment was this year. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I guess I'll see you soon. Bye!